What if I told you there are at-home tests you can do right after this video that could literally save your life? Simple tests you can perform in your bedroom, your living room, or even while standing in front of the mirror. Yet most doctors are prevented from telling you about them. As an ER physician, I've watched patients arrive too late, not because they ignored symptoms, but because they never knew their arteries were clogging in silence. The disturbing truth is that heart attacks and strokes don't start the moment the pain hits. They begin years earlier as plaque slowly narrows your arteries like a ticking time bomb. And here's what makes it even more frightening. Over 80% of clogged artery deaths happen with zero warning signs, and 99% of people never test themselves at home. Even though science shows there are simple ways to spot the danger before disaster strikes. The medical system doesn't teach these tests, not because they don't work, but because the system is built to treat emergencies, not prevent them. By the time most seniors realize something is wrong, the damage is already done. And that's the tragedy I refuse to stay silent about. In this video, we will reveal the 6 best at-home circulation tests that can uncover hidden artery blockage before it's too late. And stick around because test number 2 can detect shocking red flag signs earlier than many scans, X-rays, and blood tests ever could. Reference is in the description below. Feel free to verify the studies at your own pace. Before we dive in, here's a quick question. Which country are you watching from? And have you ever worried about heart or circulation problems? Drop your answer in the comments, because we're reading and responding to every single one like a doctor on night rounds. Now, without any further ado, let's start with test number 6, an eye-opening circulation check that can instantly reveal whether your arteries are struggling to deliver enough blood to your legs and feet. Number 6. The neck rotation and pulse check. The neck rotation and pulse check might seem almost too simple, but don't let that fool you into thinking it's not powerful. This test works by checking for something called carotid artery stiffness, which happens when the major blood vessels in your neck that supply blood to your brain start to harden from plaque buildup. When you slowly turn your head from side to side while monitoring your pulse, you're actually checking if these crucial arteries are maintaining their flexibility, or if they've become rigid pipes that can't adapt to your body's changing blood flow needs. To perform this test correctly, sit comfortably in a chair with your back straight and place 2 fingers gently on your carotid artery, which you'll find by pressing lightly on the side of your neck just below your jawline. You should feel a steady pulse there. Now here's the key part that most people miss. As you slowly turn your head to look over your right shoulder, pay attention to any changes in that pulse rhythm or strength. Then return to center and repeat the same motion to the left side. What you're looking for are any irregularities like the pulse becoming weaker, skipping beats, or if you experience any dizziness, lightheadedness, or visual changes during the movement. A healthy artery will maintain consistent blood flow regardless of your head position, but when arteries are clogged or stiffened, this simple movement can temporarily compress them enough to reveal problems. The research behind this is fascinating. A 2022 study from the Journal of Vascular Surgery found that people who experienced pulse changes during neck rotation were 3 times more likely to have significant carotid artery disease. You should perform this test once a week, preferably in the morning when you're well rested and haven't had caffeine yet, as both fatigue and stimulants can affect your results. Keep a simple log of your findings because changes over time matter more than any single result. And if you notice consistent irregularities or any concerning symptoms, that's valuable information to share with your doctor. The beauty of this test lies in its ability to catch carotid artery problems that might not show up in standard blood pressure readings or even basic physical exams. But while your neck arteries give crucial clues, your legs hold even more revealing secrets about your circulation. Before we move on, tap that like button and subscribe. The most shocking part is still coming. Number 5. The leg elevation circulation test. Your legs are like the canary in the coal mine when it comes to peripheral artery disease, which affects 1 in every 5 people over 60. Yet most don't know they have it until they can barely walk a block without pain. The leg elevation circulation test taps into a simple principle of physics and biology. When your arteries are healthy, blood flows easily both with and against gravity. But when they're clogged, fighting gravity becomes a real challenge that reveals itself through specific color changes in your feet. To perform this incredibly revealing test, lie flat on your bed or couch and elevate both legs at about a 45-degree angle by propping them up on pillows or against a wall. You want them high enough that gravity is working against your blood flow, but not so high that it's uncomfortable. Hold this position for exactly 60 seconds while observing the color of your feet, particularly your toes and the soles, which should normally stay pink or perhaps become slightly paler. After the minute is up, quickly sit up and let your legs hang over the edge of the bed, watching carefully as blood rushes back down into your feet. In healthy circulation, your feet should return to their normal color within 10 to 15 seconds, but here's where it gets interesting. If your feet turn very pale or white during elevation, and then become bright red, or take longer than 20 seconds to return to normal color when lowered, this suggests your arteries are struggling to maintain proper blood flow. The science here is rock solid. A landmark study from the American Heart Association found that this simple test identified peripheral artery disease with 78% accuracy, catching many cases that standard pulse checks missed entirely. You're essentially using gravity as a stress test for your circulatory system, forcing it to work harder and reveal weaknesses that might stay hidden during normal daily activities. The optimal time to perform this test is in the evening when you've been active during the day, as this gives the most accurate picture of how your circulation handles real-world demands. Temperature matters too. Make sure the room is comfortable because cold temperatures can cause blood vessels to constrict and give false readings. Document not just the color changes but also any sensations like tingling, numbness, or cramping, as these provide additional clues about your arterial health. What makes this test particularly valuable is that peripheral artery disease in your legs often indicates similar problems in your heart and brain arteries, making it an early warning system for your entire cardiovascular system. Speaking of early warning systems, your ankles hide an even simpler but surprisingly accurate indicator. Number 4. The Ankle Brachial Index Self-Assessment. This test might sound technical, but it's actually based on an elegantly simple concept that compares blood pressure in your ankles to blood pressure in your arms, revealing whether blood is flowing freely throughout your body or getting stuck behind arterial roadblocks. When arteries in your legs are clogged, the blood pressure at your ankles drops compared to your arms, creating a ratio that doctors have used for decades as one of the most reliable indicators of peripheral artery disease and overall cardiovascular risk. While the medical version requires special equipment, you can perform a modified version at home using just a basic blood pressure cuff that costs less than $30 at any pharmacy. Start by resting for 5 minutes to ensure accurate readings, then measure your blood pressure in your right arm using standard technique, wrapping the cuff snugly about an inch above your elbow, inflating it until the pulse disappears, then slowly releasing while watching the gauge. Record both the systolic, top number, and diastolic, bottom number. Then here's the part most people don't know. You can use the same cuff on your ankle by placing it just above your ankle bone and following the exact same process. The key is positioning. The cuff should be at the same height as your heart, so you might need to lie down and prop your leg on pillows to get an accurate reading. After measuring both arms and both ankles, calculate your ankle brachial index by dividing your ankle pressure by your arm pressure. A healthy ratio falls between 0.9 and 1.3, while anything below 0.9 suggests significant arterial disease, and anything above 1.3 might indicate stiff arteries from calcium buildup. A massive 2023 study following 12,000 people for 10 years found that those with an ankle brachial index below 0.9 were 4 times more likely to have a heart attack or stroke within the next 5 years, making this simple calculation one of the most powerful predictors available. The fascinating part is that this test often reveals problems years before symptoms appear, when lifestyle changes and medical interventions are most effective. Perform this test monthly, always at the same time of day since blood pressure naturally fluctuates, and create a graph to track changes over time because trends matter more than individual readings. If you notice your ratio dropping or find consistent readings below 0.9, this is critical information that deserves immediate medical attention, not because you're in immediate danger, but because you've caught something early enough to make a real difference. Now let's move to a test so simple you can do it while watching TV, yet it reveals profound truths about your circulation. Number 3. The toe brachial pressure check. Your toes are the absolute furthest point from your heart that blood has to travel, making them incredibly sensitive indicators of circulation problems that might not show up anywhere else in your body for years. The toe brachial pressure check works on the principle that your smallest blood vessels, called capillaries, are the first to show signs of trouble when larger arteries start to clog, and your toes have thousands of these tiny vessels that act like an early warning network. While medical professionals use specialized equipment for precise measurements, you can perform a highly effective version using nothing more than your fingers and careful observation. Press firmly on one of your big toenails for exactly 5 seconds. Press hard enough that the nail bed turns white from the pressure, pushing blood out of the tiny vessels beneath. When you release the pressure, count precisely how long it takes for the normal pink color to return completely, not just partially but back to exactly how it looked before you pressed. In healthy circulation, this capillary refill should happen in less than 2 seconds, like a pink wave washing back under the nail almost instantly. If it takes 3 to 4 seconds, your circulation is sluggish but not necessarily dangerous yet. But if it takes longer than 5 seconds, or the color returns unevenly in patches, this indicates significant circulation problems that need attention. The research validating this simple test is remarkable. A 2024 study from the British Medical Journal found that delayed capillary refill in toes predicted cardiovascular events better than many expensive imaging tests, particularly in people with diabetes who are at higher risk for circulation problems. Temperature plays a huge role here, so make sure your feet are warm before testing because cold feet will naturally have slower refill times that don't reflect your true circulation status. Test all 10 toes, not just one, because circulation problems often affect feet asymmetrically, with one foot showing problems months or years before the other. The best time for this test is mid-afternoon when your circulation is most active, and you should repeat it weekly, keeping detailed notes about refill times for each toe. What's particularly valuable about this test is that it can detect microvascular disease, problems in your tiniest blood vessels, which often develops alongside or even before major artery blockages. Pay attention to other signs while you're checking your toes. Skin temperature differences between toes, any bluish or purplish coloring, slow healing cuts or sores, and hair loss on your toes or feet, as these all provide additional pieces of the circulation puzzle. But perhaps the most revealing test of all requires nothing more than a simple walk. Number 2. The Walking Speed Recovery Test. Walking speed might seem like it's about fitness or aging, but groundbreaking research has revealed it's actually one of the most powerful predictors of cardiovascular health and arterial clogging, with some doctors calling it the 6th vital sign alongside blood pressure, pulse, temperature, breathing rate, and pain level. This test works because walking requires your circulatory system to rapidly increase blood flow to your leg muscles, and when arteries are partially blocked, they can't deliver enough oxygen-rich blood to meet this demand, causing specific patterns of fatigue and recovery that reveal hidden cardiovascular problems. Here's how to perform this incredibly informative test. Mark out a 20-foot distance in your home or yard, about the length of a typical living room, and walk it at your normal pace while timing yourself. Then immediately walk it again at your fastest safe pace, not running but walking as quickly as you comfortably can. The first crucial measurement is your fast walking speed. Healthy adults over 60 should cover 20 feet in less than 5 seconds when walking quickly, which works out to about 2.7 miles per hour or faster. But here's the really revealing part that most people miss. After your fast walk, sit down and time exactly how long it takes for your breathing to return completely to normal and for any leg discomfort to disappear entirely. In healthy circulation, you should recover within 60 to 90 seconds, breathing easily and feeling ready to go again. But if recovery takes longer than 2 minutes, or you experience lingering leg cramping, heaviness, or burning sensations, your arteries are struggling to clear metabolic waste products and deliver fresh oxygen. The power of this test lies in its functional nature. You're not just measuring a number, but actually testing how well your cardiovascular system performs under real-world demands. Perform this test weekly, always at the same time of day and wearing the same type of shoes, because consistency reveals trends that single measurements might miss. Environmental factors matter enormously. Temperature, humidity, recent meals, medications, and even stress levels can affect your results, so note these conditions in your testing log. Pay special attention to something called claudication, which is when you experience cramping or pain in your calves, thighs, or buttocks during walking that goes away with rest. This is a classic sign of peripheral artery disease affecting millions of people who dismiss it as normal aging or being out of shape. If you notice your walking speed declining over time or your recovery period lengthening, these changes often appear months or years before other cardiovascular symptoms, giving you a crucial window for intervention. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the number one test that outperforms many hospital screenings. Number 1. The blood pressure pattern mapping test. This is it, the single most powerful at-home test for detecting clogged arteries, and ironically, it's something most people do wrong even when they own a blood pressure monitor, missing the critical patterns that reveal arterial disease years before a heart attack or stroke. Traditional blood pressure checking tells you if your pressure is high or low at one moment, but blood pressure pattern mapping reveals how your arteries respond to different challenges throughout the day, exposing stiffness, blockages, and dysfunction that single readings completely miss. Here's exactly how to perform this revolutionary test. You'll take blood pressure readings in 5 specific situations over the course of a single day, creating a map that reveals how your arteries function under different conditions. First measurement. Immediately upon waking, before getting out of bed, while still lying down. This baseline reading shows your arteries at their most relaxed state. Second measurement. Standing up after being seated for at least 5 minutes. The change between sitting and standing reveals arterial stiffness and autonomic nervous system function. Third measurement. After climbing 1 flight of stairs or walking briskly for 2 minutes. This shows how your arteries respond to mild exercise stress. Fourth measurement. During mental stress, which you can create by doing challenging mental math for 60 seconds before measuring. Psychological stress causes specific arterial responses that predict future cardiovascular problems. Fifth measurement. Right before bed. After you've been relaxing for at least 30 minutes. This reveals your arterial recovery capacity and nighttime cardiovascular risk. Now here's the crucial part that the study revealed. It's not the individual numbers, but the patterns between them that predict clogged arteries with stunning accuracy. Healthy arteries show specific patterns. Blood pressure should drop 10 to 20% at night compared to daytime. Rise no more than 20 points systolic when standing from sitting. Return to baseline within 5 minutes after exercise. Show minimal change during mental stress. And maintain consistent pulse pressure, the difference between systolic and diastolic, across all measurements. But when arteries are clogged or stiffened, these patterns break down in predictable ways. Nighttime blood pressure stays high or even rises, called non-dipping or reverse dipping. Standing causes excessive spikes or drops. Exercise recovery takes longer than 5 minutes. Mental stress causes disproportionate spikes above 140 systolic, and pulse pressure widens beyond 60 points or varies wildly between readings. The study found that people with 3 or more abnormal patterns had an 85% chance of experiencing a cardiovascular event within 5 years, while those with normal patterns across all 5 measurements had less than 5% risk, even if their absolute blood pressure numbers were slightly elevated. To get accurate results, use the same arm for all measurements. Position the cuff at heart level. Avoid caffeine for 2 hours before testing, and perform the complete pattern nap once monthly on the same day. What makes this test so powerful is that it reveals problems while they're still reversible. The patterns change years before permanent damage occurs, giving you time for lifestyle interventions, medication adjustments, or further medical evaluation. These 6 tests form a comprehensive early warning system that can literally save your life by catching arterial problems years before they cause heart attacks or strokes. The key is consistency, performing these tests regularly and tracking changes over time, because your body whispers before it screams, and these tests help you hear those whispers. Remember, these tests don't replace professional medical care, but rather empower you with information that makes your doctor visits more productive and your health decisions more informed, turning you from a passive patient into an active participant in your cardiovascular health. We're always listening. Drop your questions or stories in the comments. Thank you for watching.